Just know I'm giving Shirley Temple vibes right now. I'm trying out a new hairstyle for your girl. Welcome back. Thanks for checking in with me. My name is Dominique, and for the past couple of weeks, I've been sharing lessons that I've been learning during the season of life I'm calling a transition phase. And today I wanted to talk about something that sounds really simple, to be honest, but it's been anything but easy for me. And it is rebuilding trust with myself. And if you're similar and been feeling stuck or tired or disconnected, and not because you don't know what to do, that you don't have the steps, you're trying to figure out a plan, but because something is just hindering you from taking a step forward, or you're fearful of the what ifs, the failure, or perhaps you don't trust yourself. Well, this conversation might be for you because I've learned that self trust isn't confidence and bravado. It's not these affirmations I pick up on YouTube. It's how you move, it's how you decide, it's how you think, it's how you treat yourself when things are gray and maybe not so certain. And for a long time, I didn't realize that I had broken my own trust. That wasn't what I thought was blocking me. I thought it was so many other external factors. If I can just get this, or if this person just did this, when in reality, it was internal. And so I wanted to talk through what that looks like for me. And hopefully something resonates and you'll be able to have something that you can take away with so you can get out of that same feeling. So, what did breaking my own trust actually look like? I wish I can tell you it was this one big defining moment that I can point to and say, aha, there it is. That's the moment. I can do a big highlight reel and just see it. Unfortunately, it was not that at all. It wasn't one big moment. It was a series of small, unnoticeable ones that grew over time. And while I wasn't aware or conscious of it, my body was. And it looked like living inside of my head a lot. It felt like coming up with a lot of stories about things that didn't even happen or weren't coming true, instead of being present with my body and in the space that I'm in. I realized I was taking shallow breaths as if it was hard to breathe. I wasn't breathing deeply. I wasn't giving my body proper oxygen. I was rushing through things that didn't need to be rushed. I was rushing other people and forcing myself to move faster. It looked like overthinking the littlest of decisions. What am I going to have for breakfast? What's for lunch? What's for dinner? What am I going to wear? How am I going to look? What should I say? It was all of these very small decisions that I pretty much really knew an answer to. And I was asking for opinions from everyone. I was gathering, hey, what's your blueprint? What is your pathway for things that I really didn't need? And trying to see every angle, every perspective, every possible outcome. And to be honest, that's probably the Libra in me because, we do justice in the scales and I try to see it both sides, but it's a little bit too much. I exhausted myself. And then freeze mode would come in and I would stop taking action altogether. I was literally a deer in headlights and I would stop making progress. Breaking my own trust also looked like comparison. I second guessed every decision I made. I also realized I was being really hard on myself, more than I would for a loved one or a friend. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I was downright mean to myself. And I didn't recognize it for what it was. And that was discomfort. I thought I was being responsible, disciplined, strategic, thoughtful. Enter whatever word you want to enter there. But I wasn't. I was uncomfortable. And let me be the one to say out loud for all of us, being a bully to yourself does nothing good for you or the world. The best thing you can do for yourself is to treat yourself with love and watch that be reflected back to you. So I discovered what my lack of self trust looked like, but what really helped me turn things around was recognizing symptoms of this in my body. Because saying the affirmation and positive mantra out loud was one thing. And to be honest, I was saying it for a really long time and was not believing it. My body was not feeling what I was saying, it wasn't matching. And so having your body and your subconscious mind actually believe that this new way of being, this person that I want to embody, can take weeks or months. It is not an overnight task because you are literally rewiring your neural pathways and overcoming old habits. And if you aren't consistent in your daily affirmations or mantras, in your habits for the person that you want to be, you are restarting, interrupting that rewiring every time you stop. And so back to body awareness. For me, again, my breathing was shallow. My shoulders stayed tense and up in my ears. I'm rushing myself and others when there's absolutely no reason. I'm fixated with time. I'm not present. I'm not paying attention to life that's happening around me. I'm not my playful self because I joke all day. I wasn't big belly laughing the way I normally do because if you get me to laugh, you're going to hear a snort. That's just who I am. And fortunately, through a series of events that forced me to slow down, and with the help of therapy, I realized that self trust isn't just a mindset shift. It is a physical experience that I needed to pay attention to. Because when I did, and I used the tools that I have been amassing through the self help, through the therapy, through asking questions to mentors, my world looked brighter. My body felt lighter. I was able to breathe deeper. I'm able to take my time and think and move slower. And now I can recognize when things might be off because I can feel the body sensations way before I get in my head and the thoughts start running like a hamster wheel. Kind of reminds me, my partner loves Boondocks. And I don't know if you know the episode where Granddad, he had gotten into something that I don't really want to say on the internet, but it made him feel really, really happy. It's kind of like that. Now, how your particular mind and body responds to losing trust may vary, right? But for me, one of the biggest signs was decision fatigue, something I alluded to earlier. And so decision fatigue for me looked like sitting on, and it can be the simplest of things, but sitting on a decision for weeks or months, even when I already knew what I wanted to say deep down or really what I wanted to do. I'd spend weeks contemplating every perspective, every reaction, every outcome. What would this person say? How would they react? How would I respond to how they're going to react? But what if they did it this way? Literally from A through Z, I would play out. And I was really deluding myself into thinking I was being strategic and helping myself make more informed decisions, when in reality, that process was draining me. I was so exhausted. I began to dread decisions altogether. Don't ask me what's for breakfast. Don't ask me what I want to do this weekend. Don't ask me how we're going to get there. I don't want to add, I didn't want to participate in that part of decision making anymore. And that turned into procrastination, which it turned into avoidance, right? And I avoided everything, right? Because you're not just avoiding decisions anymore at that point. You are avoiding loved ones. You're avoiding friends. You're avoiding going out. You're avoiding joy, right? Because we tend to think like, oh, I'm just going to avoid the bad stuff. But how are you going to let good stuff in? And before you know it, time was passing by. 1 week became two. 2 weeks became 2 months. And next thing you know, it's been a whole year. And I am in this exact same position I was 365 days ago. And I realized when you don't trust yourself, you overthink. That is a clear correlation for me now. If I am overthinking, I am not trusting myself. They go hand in hand. And when you delay long enough, you start to feel stuck, even though you're not. And so now I set a boundary with myself because you're going to need boundaries everywhere, especially with myself. If I already know the answer to something, I give myself 24 hours to act on it. 24. That's it. That's all I got. Because a part of me does love a good pros and cons list. I'm like Michelle Obama. I like to write things down. I like to check them off. I like to view visually what's going on. And so within the 24 hours that I need to make a decision that comes up, I make my list, I look at it, I do a little contemplation, and then it's time to take action once those 24 hours are. Now, the 24-hour rule isn't about being impulsive with myself or being restrictive. You can have any amount of time you have, right? Maybe if you're someone who's currently taking 2 weeks, you shorten that down to 1 week. I chose 24 hours because it's honoring what I already know and feel and trusting that no matter what decision I make, even if the outcome isn't in my favor, I'm going to be all right. I can handle whatever comes after. It's me saying I trust myself enough to move, to make a decision, to take a step forward. Now, I want to be clear. Getting to this place of setting this boundary, it took some time. Like I said, I've been there before where it was 2 weeks and I had to give myself a week. So now I'm at a point where I can just give myself 24 hours. And I had been experiencing decision fatigue for at least a year or so until finally I said, enough is enough, girl. Make a move. We'll figure it out from there. And so I made a declaration. By making that declaration and backing it up with small and consistent follow throughs, it has made a world of a difference for me. Rebuilding trust with myself didn't start with motivation. I'm gonna let you know, motivation don't help. I had to tell myself earlier today, follow the plan, not my feelings. It starts with structure and something that fortunately I believe is a strength of mine. I love a good plan, outline, blueprint, checklist. Like I told you, I'm very good visually of putting what I need to do together. And I really stopped trying to overhaul my entire life all at once. I am, I lean towards all or nothing. That's me. I'm on both sides of the pendulum. And so I'm trying to sit in this middle. I've been practicing sitting in this middle, right? Where I'm not overhauling everything. I am focusing on honoring myself in small, repeatable, tangible ways. And so I rebuilt trust by using tools that I've collected through therapy, through podcasts, through books, mentors, friends, whoever. And I began flowing instead of forcing outcomes, which is very new for me. I did not realize how rigid I was, but your girl, again, I love the structure. And so flowing gives me space to prepare, right? Instead of rushing to perform, it gives me space to feel free and to show up authentically like myself. And I shifted my mind to begin viewing and treating discipline as self respect and not punishment. We're not in the business of punishing ourselves, we honor ourselves. So this means in the morning when it is super cozy and warm and it's dark outside because it's almost winter in my neck of the woods, I get up because I'm a person who invests in her health and I want to go to the gym so I can accomplish everything else that I need for the rest of the day. Now, this was one of the ones that was pretty hard for me. And it is the first instant I feel tired, I rest instead of pushing through. Normally, I would, if I'm, for example, just working throughout the day and I put in 2 hours, then I'm like, oh, I could do one more hour, but I feel tired, like my eyes feel weary, or my body just in general signaling, like, hey, let's just go take a break. Normally, the previous me would push through. I would do one more hour because I know I have the capacity to do so. Now I don't do that anymore. When I feel tired, I rest, and I found such a shift in the energy that I give back to myself and the way I honor myself to say, like, resting isn't failure, right? Or the maybe negative narratives that I used to assign to resting and now have that as part of my productivity. I need to rest in order to be productive and show up and do the things that I want to do. Another way I'm honoring myself is I tell myself that I'm a person who eats intentionally and I'm not always ordering Chick-fil-A because it's so easy to do it down here in the South when I feel lazy and I don't want to cook. that I'm preparing meals on Sunday to help me throughout the week when things just get crazy. I'm keeping my goals small and tangible, and I'm celebrating my progress instead of waiting for perfection. I also stopped isolating. That was something I hadn't realized was a narrative I was holding on to say, well, in order for me to get better, in order for me to move forward, I need to go into seclusion mode. And I have taken this season to do the opposite. I've joined communities around things that bring me joy, such as writing and dancing, even though I was super uncomfortable and super scary to join a dance class, because it wasn't just, I thought it was going to be a Zumba class. It's not. Homeboy must have danced for Beyonce's backup team or something because he's giving me 8 counts and all boom, boom, cats. Right. And so between that and joining a writing class, which has been just such a joy, and I can't wait to actually go tonight. It has been a world of difference in how I am navigating this space that I'm in. And once I went and allowed myself the opportunity to enjoy the experience, I realized I had nothing to be embarrassed about. It was, yeah, all in my mind. And every time that I've shown up, I've had an amazing time. I've had amazing experiences with strangers, people I've never known and met. And it just continues to prove to myself that I can show up and participate in my life and that it is safe to do so. As no one's going to live this life but us, right? Another huge part of rebuilding trust was learning how to honor every version of my previous self. And so that's the little Damo who was in survival mode. It is the version that made mistakes. It's the version of me that overextended to people please. It's the version who is currently learning how to slow down. I am setting boundaries, not just with other people, but with myself. Like I said, that 24-hour rule is a boundary with myself because sometimes you got to put yourself in check. I've learned to stop abandoning myself to keep the peace. I've learned to stop shrinking to make others feel more comfortable. And I've definitely stopped over explaining my needs. And I also recognize that when a relationship or a friendship can't meet me where I am now, I gave myself grace to just let it go without rewriting the past or villainizing myself or villainizing the other person, right? Trust grew every time I chose self respect over self abandonment. The practice of letting go of control has been another huge aha moment in this phase of life. Whenever a fearful thought comes up, because they do, right? We're fearful, there's a lot to be worried about, the world is heavy right now. And so I don't even try to wrestle with them anymore because that was a losing battle. I'm going to be honest with you. And so now I have a jar. I don't know if you can see it very well. I literally have a jar that has scraps of paper in it. And I will take a scrap of paper. I write the fear down. I fold that paper up. I put it in the jar and recite a reaffirming positive affirmation to combat that fear. And once the paper goes in the jar, I let the fear go. And if the fear comes up again in my mind, I remind myself, like, hey, it's in my jar. I call it the universe jar. It's in my universe jar and it's above me now. There's nothing I can do about it. It's being handled by the universe. And instead of throwing a tantrum about the habits that I don't feel like doing, I remind myself I'm the kind of person who does this. It's not easy. It is a daily battle in terms of not letting myself get overcome with fear. That is a normal mode that I have been comfortable with for a really long time. And so I say that to say for those who are trying to figure out how do I overcome it, or hey, I've done this practice for a couple of days or a couple of weeks and I'm still finding myself fearful. I'm still finding these thoughts pop up. That is natural. It is normal. Like I said, you are literally rewiring your brain when you are trying to shift into a new identity, adopt a new belief. It takes time. Give yourself some time, give yourself some grace. I still use this jar often. And it has been a helpful practice to say, hey, it is above me now. And I found when I put it in there, there's just a release to be able to let go and say, you know what, the universe got me, right? I also stopped, or I should say, I am stopping negotiating with the new identity I am stepping into. I got serious about my journaling practice, more consistent and intentional. My words are powerful, and so writing them down brings clarity to me that I just haven't really received anywhere else. I set the tone for my mornings now. I don't leave it up to chance. I used to get up on vibes and be like, you know what, the day is just going to happen, whatever shows up for the day. I don't do that. I now intentionally ask myself, what is the tone I want to set for today? How do I want to feel? What are the actions that I want to take that will help me feel that way? So that way I have evidence that I'm moving towards that feeling versus just wondering or hoping that it's going to show up. I also leave room for life and joy. But if I have an opportunity to call in purpose or peace, I definitely take it. And every one of these practices became evidence for me that I can show up as the person I want to be and the life that I want, that I'm dreaming of, that I'm thinking of, this future me that I'm trying to walk towards. And that evidence has built trust with myself. This season has also changed how I lead, right? Because I'm in the cybersecurity industry and it's changed how I lead myself. I don't start with control or performance anymore. I start with beliefs, with thoughts, with behaviors, with energy. And I've learned that setting the tone through how I show up has done more for the people around me, both professionally and personally, than me calling myself a leader ever could. What I really think this season is ultimately teaching me is who I'm becoming doesn't have to make sense before I begin, which wasn't something I previously subscribed to, I'm gonna be honest. And that life is truly a marathon, not a sprint. I know it sounds cliche, but I saw an interview clip with Erica Badu, and the interviewer was saying, well, you know why it's a marathon, right? Because if it was a sprint, we'd be at the end of that sprint is death, right? So as morbid as that sound, it puts into perspective, like, to really enjoy this process and how do you find enjoyment? I think we often think, or we often take the stance that joy and fun and happiness is just going to fall on my lap. It does not. You have to cultivate it. You have to choose it every day. And that choosing shows up in your actions, your behaviors, the people you surround yourself with, the jobs that you do. It matters. I've learned that clarity doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from experience in life, from taking risks, like going to those classes and communities that scared the crap out of me, from choosing yourself and choosing this big, beautiful, scary life again and again, day in and day out. I am still learning how to trust myself, but I no longer doubt that the trust is there. I can feel it. I have evidence of it. I can see it and I'm honoring it. And if you're watching this and wondering, how do you start rebuilding trust with yourself? I'll leave you with a few gentle questions that helped me just start the process of even identifying, have I broken trust? When could that have happened? And what it looks like to rebuild it with yourself. And so the first is, when do you feel most like yourself? Specifically in your body and not in your head. And so again, we're getting into the body when you're breathing, when you're laughing, when you're joyful, when you're not thinking about what to say or do. When does that happen most for you? Second, where are you overthinking decisions you already know the answer to? You already know the answer, girl. So where are you overthinking decisions? Third, what is one small promise you can keep to yourself this week? Next is, where might you be abandoning yourself to keep the peace? And lastly, what would honoring yourself today look like? Doesn't have to be perfect, but what would one small honoring yourself look like? And here's one simple practice you can try. Pick one very small commitment, something manageable. I'm not talking the big stuff. We're talking manageable, small, tangible steps, and follow through with it. Not to prove anything, just to build evidence, because that's what it's about. Hey, I was able to get out of bed on time today. Hey, I brushed my teeth like I said I was going to. Hey, I cooked breakfast instead of ordering out. What is just one small tangible thing that you can do today? Because self trust isn't built in these big, grandiose moments. It's built quietly, it's built consistently, and it's built with care. I am committed to continuing to live my big, bold, beautiful, scary dream out loud. And I plan to continue sharing what I'm learning about self trust, leadership, growth, and rebuilding in real time. And if this resonated with you, come back and check in again for the next video. Remember, you are not behind. You're reconnecting. You're relearning. We learning together, and that's okay. See you next time.